911.
I've been shot.
You've been shot. Where are you at, man?
I'm 8 months pregnant.
How'd this happen?
I was following my baby daddy, Rae Carruth, the football player.
Where's he
He
at?
was in the car in front of me, and he slowed down, and somebody pulled up beside me and did this.
And then where'd he go?
He just left. I think he did it. I don't know what to think.
Cherica Adams was born on the 30th of June 1975. She was raised by her mother, Sandra Adams, and her grandparents. Cherica attended Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina, but dropped out halfway through to pursue a career in real estate. She also worked as an exotic dancer at a club. Cherica was beautiful and described as having a magnetic personality. Rae Lamar Wiggins, more commonly known as Rae Carruth, grew up in Sacramento, California, and played football for the University of Colorado. He was picked by the Carolina Panthers as a wide receiver in the 1997 National Football League draft and signed a 4-year contract for just over $3 million. Rae was a ladies' man and was known to date several women at one time. Rae seemed to have it all. He was young, rich, and in the spotlight for Charlotte's new favorite team. During a pool party in June of 1998, Rae met Cherica Adams. They began seeing each other at intervals during that summer. Both were in relationships with other people and fell out of touch until that November when Rae attended a birthday party for a teammate held at the strip club where Cherica worked. On the evening of the 15th of November 1999, Rae and 24-year-old Cherica, now 8 months pregnant with Rae's child, went to see a movie together at a cinema in Charlotte, North Carolina to watch The Bone Collector. After the film, the two rode together to Rae's house to pick up Cherica's car. Whilst at home, Rae called Michael Kennedy and told him that he and Cherica were about to leave. Rae and Cherica drove in separate vehicles and were on their way to Cherica's home. Rae led in his car and Cherica followed in hers. Michael and passenger Stanley Abraham, who was in the front seat, and Van Brett Watkins in the back seat followed Cherica in a rental car. As the three cars drove down Rae Road, a 2-lane residential street, Rae suddenly stopped in front of Cherica's car, forcing her to stop. Michael pulled up beside Cherica's car, and Watkins fired 5 shots into her vehicle, wounding her once in the neck and 3 times in the back. Rae and Michael fled the scene in different directions. Despite being shot, she was able to call 911 and speak to an emergency dispatcher for over 12 minutes until the ambulance arrived. During the call, Cherica told the 911 dispatcher that she was 8 months pregnant and had been shot while driving her car.
911. Baker, you need police, fire, or medic?
Police, I've been shot.
You've been shot. Where are you at, man?
5 times. Come on.
Listen to me. You're on a wireless phone. I don't know where you are, so tell me where you are, man. Where are you at?
At the Calvary Church. On the
Calvary Church.
left side in Jeff Street.
You're where? Ma'am,
Rae Road.
You're on Rae Road. Where at on Rae Road, ma'am? Ma'am, talk to me. Where are you at on Rae Road?
I don't know.
Okay, are you near Calvary Church?
I passed it on the left, and I kept straight.
Okay, ma'am, you got to help me to help yourself. Where are you at?
McAndrew, Lexus Square Community. I'm in front of it.
Okay, listen to me. McAndrew. You said McAndrew Square? Ma'am, listen to me. McAndrew Square? Listen to me, ma'am. You're on Rae Road.
Square Community.
Okay, tell me one more time.
WESSEX. WESSEX Square.
You're at Wessex Square.
Yes.
Okay, where are you shot at, ma'am?
I don't know. I was driving.
You were driving and someone shot you?
Yes.
Did you see the person that shot you?
I'm 8 months pregnant.
Okay, ma'am, you're 8 months pregnant. You've been shot. You're at Wessex Square.
Community.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to connect you to medic. Continue to talk to them because, ma'am, we have to help you. We have to find out where you are. Stay with me on the line. Ma'am, stay with me. Stay with me. Keep talking to me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Medic, she's been shot. She's pregnant. All I can get out of her is Wessex Square.
How'd this happen?
I was following my baby daddy, Rae Carruth, football player.
Where's he
He was
at?
in the car in front of me, and he slowed down and put my foot up beside me and did this.
And then where'd he go?
He just left. I think he did it. I don't know what to think.
At around 12:45 a.m., police officer Peter Grant arrived on the scene. Officer Grant conducted an on-scene interview with Cherica in which she identified Rae Carruth as the vehicle's driver that slowed down in front of her. An ambulance arrived and took Cherica to the Carolinas Medical Center. There, in an interview with Officer Grant, Cherica gave a chronology of events. When Officer Grant asked Cherica if her boyfriend did this to her, she said yes. Doctors delivered Cherica's baby by emergency C-section and moved her to a trauma intensive care unit. The attending nurse, Tracy Willard, asked Cherica if she remembered what transpired. Cherica nodded and motioned to the nurse to bring her a pen and paper. In her own handwriting, Cherica again described the night's events. Meanwhile, Cherica's mother tried to contact Rae to inform him what happened to Cherica. She tried several times to get hold of Rae with no luck. Eventually, Rae arrived at the hospital with an entourage, including a woman. Rae wanted to see his son. However, when they arrived at the NICU, he didn't want to touch his son, but instead took a picture of him, stating that this may be the last time he would see him. Soon after communicating with Nurse Willard, Cherica went into a coma. On the 14th of December, 1999, a month after the shooting, Cherica Adams died. Her baby son, Chancellor Lee, survived, but suffered severe brain damage due to lack of oxygen. On the 25th of November, 1999, Rae was arrested and charged with offences related to the shooting. Rae posted bond and was released on condition that he remained in the city. On the 14th of December, Rae's attorney left a message on his answering machine informing him that Cherica had passed away. At around 10 p.m. that night, Rae contacted an old friend, Wendy Cole, and begged her to take him to California. The state then issued a warrant for Rae's arrest on murder charges. The FBI found Rae the next day in the trunk of Wendy's car in Wildersville, Tennessee. The state charged Rae with first-degree murder of Cherica Adams, conspiracy to commit murder, discharging a firearm into occupied property, and using an instrument to destroy an unborn child. The state also charged co-conspirators Michael Kennedy, Van Brett Watkins, and Stanley Adams with crimes related to the murder of Cherica. The state offered numerous exhibits and testimonies of over 20 witnesses, including co-conspirator Michael Kennedy, to establish Rae's orchestration of Cherica's murder. Michael testified, without the benefit of a plea agreement, that after he met Rae in January or February of 1999, he socialized with Rae and visited his home quite a few times. He testified that a few hours before the shooting, Rae asked for help in the plan to kill Cherica. Rae told Michael that he had got Cherica pregnant, that she was trying to juice him for money, and that he was already paying $5,000 in child support and didn't want to pay another $5,000. Rae explained to Michael that he had previously paid Watkins to beat up Cherica so that she would lose the baby, but Watkins hadn't done it yet. According to Michael, Rae told him that he would take Cherica to the movies and to stay in the area and wait for his phone call. Once receiving the call, Michael was to follow Cherica's car. Watkins was to do the rest. Rae gave Michael $100 and told him to take Watkins to get a gun. Michael also testified that at 11:51 p.m., Rae called to tell him that he and Cherica had left the movies. At 12:19 a.m., Michael received another call from Rae in which Rae told him they were getting ready to leave the house. After the shooting, Michael testified that Rae went straight down Rae Road just as Cherica had told the 911 dispatcher. Through cross-examination, the defense attempted to establish that Cherica was shot because Watkins wanted to punish Rae for refusing to finance a drug deal and had nothing to do with Cherica's pregnancy.
You hear the pain in her voice? Do you, sir? Did you say to Detention Officer Griffin, 2 weeks after you caused that, I hope the bitch dies? Did you say that?
That's the bitch I was talking about.
Oh, I see.
Rae Carruth.
Oh.
That's the bitch I was referring to, who got me into this.
Oh.
Okay? This is the bitch I was referring to.
Oh.
He didn't stand up. I stood up for mine. I said I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I did it because he made me do it. Okay? He made the other two also do it. Okay? That's your client, the bitch.
At the time that you made that statement, Cherica Adams was fighting for her life, right?
Did the captain tell you what happened that day?
My question is, Cherica Adams was fighting for her life, wasn't she?
She was. But this wasn't about Cherica Adams. It was about the person who got me involved in all this. For 6 months, your client did this. This wasn't a one-day affair. It was for 6 months. He dragged me into something that I didn't want to be involved with. Your client.
Now, have you ever referred to women as bitches?
It's not something I would do all the time. If I did it in anger.
Right. If you were angry at a woman, you'd say, you bitch, right?
Yeah. But if a dude acts like a bitch, okay, like your client, the insult doubles. Then with a woman, there it is. Who didn't stand up, who didn't say, look, I did this. Look, I am sorry. I did this. I'm gonna, what he said was, I'm gonna save myself after the murder. You're defending this.
Get that gun, because I don't need to be spending another $200 and having Mr. Kennedy running all around all night looking for a gun when...
I didn't need a gun. Okay, for me to kill somebody, I don't need a gun. Can't you look and see? I'm 286 pounds. Okay, I would rip you like a rag doll. Okay?
Is that what you're going to do to Cherica?
I could have, but I didn't. Okay, I could have killed her, the baby. Okay, that wasn't my beef. I didn't kill my wife with the meat cleaver. I threatened her. Okay, I didn't hit Bridget with the crowbar. I threatened her. I was a dog barking. I didn't do nothing. I ran. After my wife did that to me, I left New York, packed up, took my tools, and said, I'm a good-looking man, I'll be able to get another woman. Left, went to Atlanta, it was in the strip club with hundreds of girls. Hundreds. When I had a problem with the girl I was dealing with in Atlanta, packed up. Went to Charlotte, met Bridget. When I had a problem with Bridget, I packed up, went back to Atlanta. I ran. This is what I tried to encourage the young man to do. I told him not to do it. For 6 months, I avoided him. I didn't go ahead and do it. I couldn't do it. He forced me to do it. He threatened me and the ones I loved. And it's still not over. So feel it. Feel the truth. Okay, I come from a city where you can feel it. You can tell when someone's selling you shit and when somebody's telling the truth. Feel it, or your city is doomed. It'll be like New York and Atlanta within 10 years. Remember what I said. He's representing a person who killed, had his baby's mama and baby contracted out to kill. And all the time I'm looking at my girl and baby. How did you think I felt? I'm still human, even though I have a long criminal history. I did it all, but I'm still human.
The defense offered 45 witnesses who testified that Rae, who had no criminal record, was mild-mannered, kind, and never violent, and was looking forward to the birth of his child, and that his bright career as a professional football player with the Carolina Panthers gave him the means to pay child support. However, the state offered the testimony of 2 of Rae's former girlfriends. Both testified to Rae's anger when they became pregnant with his child, his unwillingness to pay child support, and his threats of violence towards them. Amber Turner was one of Rae's girlfriends whom he impregnated. She testified that in 1998, Rae directed her to have an abortion and threatened her, stating, "Don't make me send somebody out there to kill you." She decided not to have the child. Additionally, the state called Cherica's cousin and roommate, who testified that she received a call from Cherica just before the shooting at around 12:15 a.m. In a call to her cousin, Cherica said that she and Rae were on their way over to the apartment and would be there in 15 minutes. She asked her cousin to tidy up the apartment as Cherica had not expected Rae to come over. Cherica's father also testified that when he asked Cherica at the hospital whether Rae had legitimate reasons to stop due to traffic lights or a stop sign, Cherica shook her head no, that no traffic lights or stop sign caused Rae to stop. In addition, a friend of Rae's, Candy Smith, also testified in the early morning of November 16, 1999, at the hospital just after Cherica had been shot. Rae told her that he wished that Cherica would die. When Candice asked Rae if he was involved, Rae went into a deep trance and wouldn't even look at her. According to Candice, Rae said that he hit his brakes in his car to slow Cherica's car down and witnessed the shooting, then just drove off and went to a friend's home. After 2.5 days of deliberation, the jury indicated in a note to the trial judge that it was divided on all charges and wished instruction. The judge instructed the jury to deliberate further, which they did. On the 2nd of January 2001, the jury returned a verdict acquitting Rae Carruth of first-degree murder, but finding him guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, discharge of a firearm into occupied property, and use of an instrument to destroy an unborn child. he received a sentence of 18 to 24 years. According to the North Carolina Public Safety Department records, Rae served his time in minimum security and didn't make any trouble. He worked as a barber for his fellow inmates for $1 a day. However, shortly before his release from Sampson Correctional Institution, Rae began making waves declaring that he wanted custody of Chancellor. He expressed regret about the death of Cherica and apologized in a letter to her mother, Sandra Adams, who has had custody of Chancellor since he was a baby. Rae claimed that he and Cherica were seeing several different people, and he wasn't worried about her pregnancy because it wasn't necessarily his. In his handwritten 15-page letter, he praised Sandra for helping Chancellor overcome the challenges of cerebral palsy. He learned to walk and talk, which doctors initially thought was impossible. However, Rae also dared to write several awful things to the mother of the daughter he conspired to murder. For example, he wrote, "Never was Cherica under the illusion or delusion that I was ever going to propose marriage to her. Lust was the tie that bound us, not like or love. We randomly hooked up a handful of times and never made it about anything more than that." He also wrote that she, Sandra, wouldn't be around forever to take care of Chancellor. Who the hell does this arsehole think he is?
Former Carolina Panther Rae Carruth was convicted as the mastermind behind Cherica Adams' murder, a crime that left their son with lifelong disabilities. Now, with months left on his sentence, he's accepting responsibility.
I have never heard that before.
Reaching out from behind bars to apologize and also target the woman who's raising his son.
He is attacking me.
Carruth's letter to Sandra Adams speaks about her daughter's 1999 murder and her grandson Chancellor's cerebral palsy. He says he wants to sincerely apologize.
But the letter also claims Adams, who's dedicated 18 years of her life to raise Chancellor, has been about the money.
Today, Adams told Channel 9 when Carruth gets out of jail this fall, he won't be getting custody of Chancellor Lee.
It says to whom it may concern. I guess it concerns me.
No one was more surprised today than Sandra Adams to learn of this 15-page letter sent not to her, but to the media by the man behind her daughter's murder. In it, Rae Carruth says he wants to, quote, openly confront and debunk the lies that he says Adams has told about him. He opens by calling her a godsend for raising his son Chancellor Lee, who was born with severe disabilities after Carruth conspired to kill Chancellor's mother, Cherica. Then he apologizes, saying, quote, I take full responsibility for everything, which Sandra Adams told us today is a first.
Whether he means it or not, he's spoken into the universe and said out of his mouth that he was responsible for Cherica's death and for Chancellor's cerebral palsy. And I have never heard that before.
The letter goes on to criticize Adams at length, saying that she has, quote, capitalized on the situation, even calling it a hustle. Carruth, whose 18-year prison sentence is up this October, writes, I'm already going to have an impossibly difficult transition due to no one else's fault but my own. Then he accuses Adams of, quote, unfairly making matters worse.
He is attacking me, saying that I'm telling lies about him, that I'm trying to turn the public against him, and I've never done that. Yeah.
Adams has long said that she would like Chancellor Lee to know and even have a relationship with Carruth, and Carruth's letter indicates he wants that too. He writes, I'd give anything to have the opportunity to do right by Chancellor and to play a meaningful role in his life. That led Sandra Adams to clarify.
I am not trying to mislead anybody to think that Rae is going to come and pick Chancellor up for the summers and take him out to California and come over and get him every week and be daddy. That's not what I mean about relationship. I do want Chancellor to meet him. You get in a relationship with
She takes Chancellor Lee to prisons to speak about domestic violence, saying he's in the Smile Ministry. Sandra Adams says she doesn't know the motivation behind Carruth's letter, but she insists it won't change the work that she's doing with her grandson.
There's way too much going on, and just violence, period. My sole goal has been to promote peace, and I'm going to be on that mission till I die.
Now, we asked what Chancellor Lee Adams might call Rae Carruth, maybe dad or daddy. Sandra Adams said Carruth has not been a dad, so Chancellor will simply call him Rae.
Rae Carruth walked out of prison on the 22nd of October 2018 as a free man, except for 9 months of supervised parole. He allegedly moved in with a friend in Pennsylvania and began working from home. Rae is now asking Sandra to let him spend time with Chancellor rather than seeking custody. Michael Kennedy pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a minimum of 11 years and 8 months. Stanley Abraham pled guilty to the lesser charge as an accessory and received 90 days in jail and 5 years probation. As for Van Brett Watkins, he was sentenced to not less than 40 years and 5 months and more than 50 years and 8 months. However, surprisingly, Watkins wrote a letter of apology to Sandra and would send a few dollars here and there to help with Sandra's care of Chancellor. He also warned her that Rae was still unrepentant and thus a danger to her and Chancellor. Rae now gets to speak to his oldest son every day, which is unfair, as Sandra will never get to speak to her daughter again, and Chancellor will never know his mother, which is a direct result of Rae Carruth's actions. Sandra Adams, who became a board member of Mothers of Murdered Offsprings, has said she would never relinquish custody, but she forgives Rae and will consider allowing him to visit Chancellor. As for Chancellor Lee, what can you say? This gorgeous young man with an infectious smile has exceeded the doctor's expectations. His grandmother has done an excellent job of raising and caring for Chancellor, which I'm sure was not easy. My sincere condolences to the friends and family of Cherica Adams. May Cherica's memory be a blessing for her family and everyone who knew her. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.